So we'll start off with the reason why I named it this weird name, the last 10%. As y'all can probably see on here, what happens is whenever we get a project, the first 10% is called preparation. So we call it. This is something I kind of developed with the faculty and so what we do is we prep and talk to the client, figure out what their needs are, figure out how to best help you guys understand the project as much as we can. And then the next 80% is like the meat of the information. This is where a lot of agencies and consulting kind of work. And so this will be something, there'll be some project coordinator. And then if you're underneath them, the 80% is kind of where a lot of the work gets done. And so that's going to be y'all's research. Everything that y'all do and put into it, that's very, very important. And it counts for that 80% of it, right? But then that last 10%, that's the most important part for y'all to actually get what y'all have done and actually show what y'all have done. Because it doesn't matter if you have the best research in the world, if you're not able to present it in effective ways, then they do not care. Like, it's just, they don't understand it. They're not gonna understand what you're actually saying and how to apply it to their business. So that's what the goal today is, how to effectively communicate that last 10%. And a lot of that, I try to help y'all out with, like I try to help out with the reports and PowerPoints, but I want y'all to, I've realized that's a skill I think that y'all can definitely develop. And with AI now, that's even more important because AI, it's great, but it doesn't understand this, able to get it across the finish line a lot of times. So it's able to get you that 80%. It can help you out a lot with that. And it can help you out with this last 10%, but some of it is your judgment and understanding how to effectively talk to it. So we'll go through that. The biggest reason for kind of getting this together is that a lot of our projects, as y'all can probably tell, are kind of wrapping up. And with that, it's going to come a lot of reports, a lot of which we've already kind of started with. And y'all have seen some of that. And then also the big shebang is the final presentation. So we're going to be in the same exact room and they're going to be, literally every single chair is going to be full of people. And so that's why we want to keep prepping y'all. I just want to keep giving y'all anything from my experience, because when I presented, I sucked. And I remember that feeling of not doing as well. And I was like, I want to make sure everybody on our stage does much better. And I think last year was an excellent showing for the team. So that's the reason kind of what today's about. And so we're gonna go through 3 different kind of concepts. The first is kind of how to talk to a client. So we're gonna have some of these client presentations. I know Galloway is about to have a meeting with the board. And so some of these kind of tips I've noticed from just like looking around different meetings that we're in that, just could be helpful. And then also how to structure a report, how that should look and how that should feel, because that's gonna be important. And also the PowerPoints. I've heard a lot of questions on how to edit PowerPoints, how to make PowerPoints look good. And so I wanna make sure I help y'all with that as much as I can. First, I do wanna start, it'll be on the back, it's just some client etiquette things. It's just things I noticed about clients. So first off, first impressions are huge. How I think about these client presentations, especially from y'all's perspective, a lot of y'all seniors, graduates trying to get jobs, right? And so a lot of it, I know this, and I'm trying to keep sending y'all jobs, but a lot of this is like how you present yourself to these clients. And that's gonna be really important because maybe it's not through them that you're gonna get your job, but you're gonna get practice in talking to these people. When I went for my first job interview, like for Millsaps, it was so easy because literally I just like talked because we've done so many different presentations to people that are in like really high positions. So I was like, whatever, like, and it's such a great feeling because you can just say what you want to say. And I know a lot of you are good at that, but then some of us, like, it is really helpful to get some of that practice. And so that's how I think about these type of things. And preparation in that is also gonna be really crucial. I'm big about looks and how things are presented as well. And so dressing the part as well. See a good amount of green in here. We got Alfredo, he's ready for St. Patrick's Day. A lot of y'all need to get pinched, but it's okay. Alfredo, you can do that later. But yeah, no. Hey, okay, good. Let us know. But yeah, big thing is just making sure that you present yourself well. I mean, I always think about it, you don't have to be necessarily all out dress, but you know, just dress for the occasion, dress a little bit better than you think you should. I think that's always a good sign for these client presentations specifically. We'll talk about the status presentations a little bit later. I've noticed this a lot, and I don't know why, but being on your phone, being fully aware is so important because if you're disengaged for a couple seconds, it's really hard to re-enter the conversations and understand what's going on. And the client also sees that, you know, like making sure that you're giving them contact, looking around the room is very crucial. And, you know, obviously we're in a client meeting, we shouldn't go on our phones. So I've just seen that and I'm like, I don't understand. Like, what are we doing here? But yeah, like I said, client, we need to make sure that we do eye contact, just making sure that you know, respect their time. They're respecting you. You all are their consultants, right? Like they went out of their way to contact ELSEWORKS to ask for something like this. So, you know, it's really important that y'all give them y'all's respect because they're trying to do the same, I think, for the most part. But yeah, and then one thing I've noticed, this is really important, is I think it's more of, I don't know, I've just noticed this in our females a little bit more, interestingly enough. So that's why I wish there was a little bit more there. And Amber, I'm not sure if you're actually in this demographic, but raising your hand during a presentation, like during like a client presentation, no need to do that, right? Like we're not in class. This is, you know, real world business. And so whenever we're doing that, just making sure that there's certain times in conversation where there'll be a pause or a break. And that is kind of a skill to figure out when those are. And that's when you just interject and say what you have to say. No need to, because then whenever you do this, you're very submissive. And so everybody's like, oh, that means he's more important. Brady's more important right now because I'm asking him to give me attention rather than just interjecting yourself. And that's just small things that you notice. And obviously y'all are all college students, and everybody, for the most part, when we do these client meetings, to be a little bit more higher, you know, in terms of rank, but that's okay. If you want, you need to treat yourself like you're already there. Be respectful, but yes, you know, try to make sure you interject into these conversations in an effective manner. So I think that's kind of the main things. Not sure if y'all see anything, and just obviously body language. So making sure we're not slouching in the chairs, you know, like this or doing stuff like that. We need to make sure that we're very much so just like looking engaged. Try to, you know, if you're on your computer, just be aware of that, right? You can obviously, I'm okay with y'all like looking if you have notes on there, stuff like that, but don't be like the whole time, right? You want to make sure that we're looking around and making sure, you know, engaging, looking around. I always do like Dr. Pickard said, even in like presentations, like the triangle rule. So you look to your right, look to your left, look to the middle. And you can find certain people to look at, especially when it's a smaller room. It's a lot easier, right, to look at. So that's kind of the client presentation. That was pretty good. But yes, that's pretty much that. Is there any questions on that aspect of it? I know it's kind of interesting. And that's gonna be more prep. And I just wanna get y'all prepared for that because, you know, if you're already prepared for some of these meetings when you're coming out of college, it'll be really impressive for them. It's just the small skills, right? The little soft skills that you develop. And I just want to teach y'all that as we go. And I'll kind of talk to y'all through those whenever we're actually in the meetings and making sure that y'all are, you know, being aware of those things. I think awareness is the biggest thing for those because you don't realize sometimes, right? Okay, next we'll go to a report. And I'm actually going to pull up the Galloway report real quick because I think they did an excellent job of kind of wrapping this up. So a couple things on the report that you want to clearly state. So obviously you can see here, this is, like I said, this is gonna be much more of a workshop setting. So I'm gonna keep it a little more casual than usual and kind of walk y'all through. So this is kind of a cover page. If you're having any professional report to any client, really important to have a cover page, right? How you do this on Word, I would suggest, Word kind of sucks for creating graphics like this or anything like that. What I would suggest is going into Canva, creating something like this or whatever you want to use. And then on Word, I'll show you how to input it because it's actually kind of difficult for some reason. So when you go to whenever you go in, you'll download the Canva file, right? And then you'll insert a shape. And so you can do a square and just insert it over here. And so what you'll do is do that. And then you can see this shape fill. Does everybody see that? It's kind of small, but does everybody see that? There's a little arrow next to it. And it'll say picture. And that's where you can actually input the picture from the file. So if I wanted to change it to this is y'all's worksheet, you can change it to that. That's one way to do that, because if you try to just like add it as a picture on there, like you typically would, and not do the shape method, then it'll actually print out very, very funky and it won't look good, just from experience. Very funny, but yeah. Okay. If you're having a longer report, I would say anywhere 25 pages and up. Having some type of table of contents is really important, especially, as I said, like kind of more professional. It can be really important. So this is, again, Galloway. And then some of these reports too, as this kind of pulls up, an abstract is also gonna be really important. So what an abstract is, it's kind of what you write at the end of your paper. It's basically like your hook or your summary of the paper. And so you really want to get people engaged in like the first few sentences, like what this is about. This is more of an academic paper, so it has a little bit more of the abstract thing. Sometimes you don't need that if you're doing like a business report, maybe. It kind of depends on context there. Also, you can see at the bottom of each of mine, I like to have some type of description on what this report is. It just adds a little more professionalism and gives them a better, clearer example of what that is. Plus, it's real estate that's not being used, so might as well. Okay, real quickly, I think we have a couple more things in the report, and then we'll move on to the main chunk, which is PowerPoint. I want to really teach all that. So this overview section, so basically, the idea is that we have to figure out, and this is how you translate that 80% to 10%. And this is what we worked with the team a lot of times, and it's a lot of times just a discussion figuring things out, is how to format your paper and figuring out what sections go where. Because this paper, there was a ton here. This is a 30-page paper, and there was a lot of information that we wanted to get across, but we had to figure out the best way to do it. So we thought, usually an overview started off as a really good step, and then we had to figure out, okay, what would be next? And so we talked about some of these different analyses that we did. So what the research was, what that 80% was, right? You want to kind of set the stage, show them where we're coming from, and then near the end, that's where you give your recommendations, right? And so that's going to be really important in terms of presenting yourself. And so again, like I said, you have to figure out too, this is small stuff that I just noticed, and you just got to figure out, make sure that all of your text is the same, in here, it needs to be the same font and the size. And then for your headings, you have your main headings over here, which is going to be the bolded ones up here. So your internal situational analysis is going to be bolded a little bit bigger, and then smaller and smaller and less bold or less italics as you go through. And it doesn't matter too much about which ones are bolder or italicized, as long as there's a structure that makes sense for you or the reader, right? So typically, it goes bigger to smaller, that doesn't make sense, but you just want to make sure you're very consistent. And so I always go back and check every single time because it's a pain. And you don't want to mess that type of stuff up. So that's just one thing. And then one thing we need to, I think, start doing as ChatGPT and all this is becoming a lot more, mainstream, is actually going back and finding some of these sources that we're using and using kind of a resources page or a references page, right? To make sure that our clients know, hey, like this isn't just ChatGPT. We did look at some stuff, right? And actually found some good data to support what we're saying. So that's very helpful. And I'm not saying don't use chat, I'm just saying. And make sure, obviously, if you do that, chat's being pretty sneaky now, that if you ask it for a link for like one of the sources, it'll actually put in the back half that it says ChatGPT. So make sure you go look. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, yeah. They just do that for, I think, whatever, the plagiarism stuff. So just make sure that you're looking at it, and make sure you actually do look at the source too. Make sure it's actually usable, because chat I still find does a little bit of hallucinations in terms of the source. I think it does better like pointing you to a source now, but sometimes the information's not actually there. So just make sure that you're using that. And so yeah, this was kind of our page. Again, appendices are really important. If you have any charts, any supplemental information to help that. We had something with a different layouts and different night flows, how that could look. So that was our Galloway report. Pretty simple. And then always export. This is for anything that you ever give a client, your resume, anything. Just super important to make sure that you export in PDF so that they can't touch it. Because I will say, if you do copy and paste stuff or you do other stuff, they can see that if it's in a Word document. But if you do a PDF, they're not gonna be able to see that. So, and it just looks professional because they can't edit it. So make sure y'all do that. And that's what a good report looks like. Is there any questions that y'all have on that? Not too close. Okay, cool. So yeah, hopefully expecting the good reports. And then also one thing I do a lot of times whenever I'm finishing up the reports, a lot of times, bless you, there will be a lot of different people obviously going into these reports. One thing I'll do is literally just type that stuff back into chat and just make sure like everything sounds the same. So I'll tell it like, do it in my voice, right? Or say it like a professional manner, like tell it kind of context, and so that it can rewrite it. And so it sounds merely the same. So it doesn't sound like somebody's writing it here, somebody else writing here. You're saying the same stuff, but you're changing it to make it sound kind of the same. Or you can go back there and check it yourself, however you all want to do that, but that's what I would suggest. So cool. All right, we'll move to PowerPoints because I think this is going to be most important, and I got a crappy little PowerPoint to show y'all. And we'll work through this. And so if y'all want to, y'all can actually open y'all's own PowerPoint, so y'all can get on this one. It's in the Teams file. I can actually share it to y'all real quick, make it a little easier. But it's in the presentations. If you go to your Teams and go to presentations, and then go to outward facing this year, and then it'll be, actually no, not this year, sorry. It's actually at workshops, I apologize. I'm talking about the next one. Here we go, are the last 10% in the workshops, and then you'll see the PowerPoint right here. So I'll copy it for y'all so y'all have it. But basically, we're gonna just kind of work through what my thought process is on a PowerPoint and how to structure a really good PowerPoint to make it look good. So there's some really good information on here, but I'm gonna walk y'all through kind of what that means. Okay, so this is a crappy title slide. So what we wanna do is add some information here. So we might want a picture, right? I think a picture would probably be a pretty good start for something like this. And so we're gonna go to the background and just add a big picture. And so I'm gonna go here, right? And you can go, you'll see this format and it'll come to a picture. So what you can do is, I would say you can insert. So we can find, I usually use this Murrah Hall one that I really like. And so we can go look, I have it downloaded to my computer. You can also just find online. So that's a Murrah Hall one, right? And so that's something that you can start with. And then I don't like necessarily that's very bright because I'm not gonna be able to see my text. I'm gonna you can turn the transparency down like this. That's one way you can do kind of different, it makes it more white. Or you can do some of these artistic effects, which this is what this looks like. You can do like a blur, which is nice. I kind of like that. So I like a little bit of a blur. That's kind of cool, right? And so one thing now, what I'll do is we'll change this title. And so the art of the last 10%, okay? And now one thing, I don't necessarily love that color. I wanted to make it a little more, I'm gonna go here as text options. This is really cool. I didn't know about this for the longest time, but you can actually do a transparency down inside text. And so I can actually, I'm probably gonna change this to white so it shows up a little bit better. And so you can actually change it to do whatever you want. So I can do transparency, I can do it that, or I can make it kind of a gradient like this, which is kind of cool in some of our slides. It looks really, it looks kind of different. I wouldn't say this might be a little much. Usually if I do the gradient one, I'll kind of go from maybe a light blue to a dark blue, so it's not super wild. So I'll do something like this maybe. And so you can kind of figure out what the colors, which colors look good. So that's kind of something really cool that I've noticed. One thing I like to do is do some, I'm kind of nerdy when it comes to this, is like figuring out how big this should be, right? And so how the sizing of each of these elements interact with each other. So this one right now is at 60. So one thing I always do is I go to Safari, and there's this thing called golden ratio. It's a kind of like an art thing that I did when I was in Spain. And so basically what it does, it gives you like the ideal look. And so if you type this in versus the golden ratio, the ideal like next size, like a subheading or next thing would be 37, as y'all can see here. And so I'm gonna go type that for this, or sometimes you have to do it twice. So we can do 37. So that'd be kind of a sub, right? And so that's what one step down would look like. It's kind of like basically, I usually eyeball this now, but if you wanted to be very specific on getting it right, you can. And then I'm gonna go down one more. So I'm gonna 37, so 22 would be the next one down. So you can kind of keep going with that until you see exactly what you're looking for. So that's probably where I would keep it. And so I'm gonna do like March 17th, 2026, right? So that's kind of where we go. And I actually still don't like this gradient. So I'm gonna change this gradient real quick. Phil, what colors should we use? Give me one color, Philip and Evan, give me one color. Okay. in green. This is gonna be a pretty crazy one, but there you go. Okay. We'll actually get to one that's yellow and green a little bit here in a second. So these, I took some examples from our PowerPoint for the status presentations. And I want to show you all some elements on how these were created and actually kind of recreate some of these for y'all. So I'm going to kind of go through real quick. These are some of the elements. Some of these take a lot longer than the other ones, right? Than the other ones. So let's go to the centers one. I think Umema actually designed this one very well. So we're going to duplicate it real quick so I can have a starting point. So one thing we can do is, you see this picture? So I'm going to go find a picture of centers Michael B. Jordan and recreate this real quick. So we're going to go find a cool picture that we like. I think I just saw maybe something similar to what you use, huh? Oscar winner now, apparently. So, okay, we're going to go here. We're going to download that picture. Actually, you can actually just copy. We can download it to files. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to insert a picture into here. So I'm going to insert, I'm going to go to pictures, go from my file, and I'm going to download this picture. Okay, so this is where our starting base is right now. Okay, and so what we're going to do is actually crop it, because we don't really, we need to make sure it kind of looks similar to what she had, right? It's going to be, we're going to get that. So we're going to go here, we're going to go to our picture format, we're going to crop it, and we're going to crop to shape. So one thing that we like to do, this is going to give y'all's PowerPoint just a little bit more edge and make them a little bit nicer than a typical what PowerPoint designs, because PowerPoint likes to use a lot of squares. You see how here this is curved at the edges and it looks a little bit nicer. Every element in here is curved. Y'all see that? Does that make sense? If I'm losing y'all, please let me know. So each element is curved so that there's no sharp angles. Sharp angles are kind of very aggressive and they're a lot more, everyone does them, I guess, now. And so kind of setting yourself apart. It's just kind of a nice design language. So we're gonna go here again and go picture format. And we're gonna go crop to shape, and we'll see one right here that has the crop, the little sides. And so see right here, there's be a yellow. Let me zoom in here. This is really exciting. See this little yellow guy right here? You can actually move it so it shows you how far the angle is. So I want a little bit, I don't want too crazy. And then I'm also just gonna crop it up and down because I think it's too, I just wanted to do exactly what Umema did, close to it at least. So I think something close to her here, right? So now we're getting a little bit closer. And now one thing cool I really like to do is add, you can go here. So you see this format picture, you have a lot of different options here. So this is how you can actually, it's technically just a shape. So you can actually give it different things that you want. But what we're gonna be focused on here is this reflection. And so what this is gonna do is gonna give you this little guy. So what it does, it makes it look like it's floating on the page. I don't know if y'all can see that super well in here. Does it look like it's floating? Here, I'll show you an example without. So right now, this is what we have, just kind of plain. Let me give it a green background so we can make it look a little bit better. So it doesn't look super plain. So we'll do a green background for now. So it just looks like it's kind of just on the page. There's no real flair to it. So what we can do is go to picture format and go reflections. I like my favorite presets. You can go up and you can adjust however you like. I like to go 60 transparency and then everything else 11. So what that's going to do is it's going to give it a little bit of a blur and it's going to get it a little bit off. So what it does, you can kind of see it as I move each element. If I move these around, you can see size makes it longer, which makes sense, right? Your blur is going to see how much you blur it. If you blur it way too much, then it's going to be nothing, right? And then your distance shows you how far away from the picture that blur is. And so I usually like it at this length because it makes it look like it's kind of floating in midair. And so that's where I like to keep that. So does that make sense how to do that? That's a kind of cool, different thing that's a little bit different than most. And so you can kind of work on that. Okay, so now we're gonna add these elements. So we see all these weird elements in here that we wanna add. So we have what we have right here. We have a just green rectangle, another green rectangle, one down here, another just square over here. So we're gonna try to recreate this real quick. So what I'm gonna do is insert a shape, and this one's actually gonna be the one, it's not gonna be the square, it's gonna be the one with the little sides like that. Philip probably knows what the name of that shape is, but I don't know. Philip, do you know geometry? Okay, that's fine. A math major is letting us down, yeah. Okay, so what we're gonna do, and this is really important too. So for your clients, they're going to be really specific about the colors you use. And so whenever we're using these colors, obviously we already have these colors here, but whenever we're going back here, we want to make sure that we're using the right colors. And so we need to make sure that we go to our clients' logos and their designs. And I have these on Canva. If you look up the client logos or anything like that, project logos, and you can see here. So let's make this one a little more Depot inspired. It's gonna be a little bit different than Umemos. And so what we're gonna do is, if we go here, we should be able to find what color is being used. Do y'all see these two colors up here? You have a blue and a yellow. And so if you tap these colors, and then you tap this add new color, it'll actually show you exactly what color this is. And it'll be like a little, it's called a hex code. And so what this does, it's basically, it's always gonna be a hashtag. Well, it's always gonna be a hashtag followed with, that's not good. Okay, no board. Hashtag followed with 8 numbers or letters. And so you're gonna go here and we're gonna copy that and we're gonna go into this color tab. And in the color tab, you'll see more colors and you'll see a hex code, and that's where you input. And so now we should have the perfect Depot blue. That's how you do that. And now what I wanna do, I like the little glow. I think it looks kind of cool, personally. And so we can go here again to this other shape format and we go to a glow. And so we're gonna add a glow. I'm gonna do this color yellow, but I'm gonna go change it because I wanna get the exact Depot yellow or orange specifically. And so I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna tap the color, tap here, and now I got that Depot orange perfectly. And so I'm gonna go here again, do the same exact thing. Get my Depot orange, and now we're starting to see a little bit. Now I'm gonna change that background color. I want a gradient actually, because I think that's kind of cool. Right, Brady? Oh yeah, that's how you do it. Yeah, exactly, and that's how you do it. You just basically go find that, and it's the easiest way to do that. Your gradient fill, what we're gonna do is go find that blue, and so we'll have it in recent colors. One thing you can also do, if you already have the color and it doesn't show up there, you can also tap more colors, and there'd be this little beaker tool right here next to this color. And you can actually just tap that and it'll pop up, and you can actually go anywhere in the presentation or on your paper, and whatever color you pick, that's what it'll change it to. So there you go, that's your color. So you go, we'll do it for this one. So go here to your color, more colors, and then there'll be this little beaker tool. I'm trying to zoom in, but it won't let me. And there'll be a little beaker, and so you can tap that again, and then just tap anywhere on the screen that you want, and it'll pop up. And so this one, what I wanna do is, obviously this is supposed to be a gradient. I did the same exact color. So what I'm gonna do is change to transparency. You can do that, so it makes it a little bit lighter on one side. You can do that. You can change the brightness, kind of the same effect. Huh? Yeah. And so I like to do like a darker one, like this. And so it has a little bit more of a pop whenever you're doing here. And so what we're gonna do now is just copy this one again and recreate it on this side. So we're trying to do exactly kind of what Umema did. And we're gonna make this one a little bit smaller so it has a little bit more of a effect, and then we're actually gonna place it behind. So one thing cool, I wanna show you all this is really sweet. There's this thing called the Arrange tab. If you do this first option, it's called Arrange Objects. What it's gonna do is do a 3D model of what all your different like elements in here are. And so this is that one that we were just working with. So I want it behind both of these. So I'm gonna just move it across. And so that's gonna move it down. And so now we have it behind, which I want. Huh? We're moving around. We're going quick. Yeah, and so that's one thing you can do. And so one thing I do want to do is emulate Umema's. I don't think she didn't. She didn't have a glow. So Philip, do you know how to get rid of the glow on here? Do you want to show us? Yeah. How do we get rid of the glow? Actually, I think I could just do this over here. I might just do it. There you go. Did y'all see how Philip did that? He went into the little section, the little middle section where it has this guy, and just changed that. And you can go to different sections. There's shadows, there's reflections, there's glows. You can even make 3D objects. It's a little bit difficult and not really that worth it, to be honest, but that's okay. So yeah, great job, Philip. Great job. So now that we have that, we have a little bit more of a section. The memo is actually, I think, was a little bit transparent, so we're gonna kind of do the same thing here. It's kind of hard to see from y'all's angle, but we'll make it a little bit transparent so you can kind of see through it a little bit. That'd be kind of cool. And so now we have a couple more elements and we're pretty much done with this slide. So we need to add this little guy in the corner. That's pretty easy. All we need to do is pretty much copy this shape, paste it, and then we're just gonna make it smaller. And then we can change it to a different color. We can make it whatever shape, size we want. And we're gonna go here. I'm gonna make this one blue, I mean the orange. So it kind of pops a little bit. And then we're gonna put no transparency, and we're gonna, again, this is the, Philip, do you wanna show, actually, Evan, show us the cool stuff. Show us how to arrange the object. Show us how to do the thing. Yep. And we want it all the way in the back. Just press OK at the bottom right. Yeah, okay. Pass that to Willie. Let's put the centers in the front. Just blow y'all's minds from the beginning. Yeah, that's fair. Perfect. Perfect. So now we have it. And then Willie, let's make it big. Let's size it so it actually makes sense on there. Okay, one thing actually, that was great, Willie. Thank you for showing me that. One thing that Willie did, never use the top, bottom, left, and right ones. Don't use those because what it does, it stretches it. You always want to use the side ones over there too, like all the way to the left and right. Yeah, like the ones in the corners. So always use the one in the corners when you're resizing, because if not, it does that stretchy thing. You know what I'm talking about, where it makes it look like you're long or like you look like a noodle. So we don't want that. Yeah, you can do that, but usually if you just do the sides, it's pretty easy to just get the right. Make it a little bit bigger, Willie. There you go. Perfect. You like that? Y'all like that? Cool, cool. All right, pass that thing over, Willie. All right, sweet. Now, we want to, I guess, promote the fact that Michael B. Jordan, I guess, is coming to the depot. I guess that's where we're going with this now. And so now, we need to add one more element. We need to, before we start with the text, we need to add that little kind of square. We need to do something here so we can add the depot logo. So I'm gonna go here, and I'm gonna go kind of make this look good. I'm gonna rotate it, and it doesn't look good, so let me not do that. So you gotta make sure, again, y'all can see the length and the width. I'm trying to get these close. It's kind of hard to do these right now. I'm gonna get as close as I can. And make sure this is gonna be at a 45-degree angle. Philip, is that right? You want a 45-degree angle. Why is that, Philip? Okay. What you can do too is here. You can actually go into here. Y'all see this little thing with the box? It's not Roddy Rich, but it's close enough. Y'all can do the actual, you can actually just do it from here. And so you don't have to like drag it and drop it like I just did. So that makes it a little easier. I don't know why it's rotating like that. It's kind of weird, but it does look pretty bad. There we go. Maybe. I don't know why it's looking like that, to be honest, but that's okay. it looks messed up. I'm just gonna add this in there. Usually it doesn't look like that. I think it's just because I can't see the screen very well. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go here. That one even looks kind of effed up. I don't know if it's my angle or not. Okay, so I'm gonna go with the, okay, so this one's gonna be different. So we're gonna copy, and I think I already have it on my computer, but I'm gonna make sure I download it. Make sure you download anything you want logo-wise, just download it from here. Always do transparent background so that we're not copying a white background, because I will say PowerPoint is awful, god awful at like eliminating the background. So just make sure you're doing it within Canva. So now we're gonna download that. It's gonna take a second. And then that's my logo. I'm gonna rename it something else because I have like so many of these saved. I'm gonna say last 10. Just make sure it doesn't just say that you've already done this. So now we have it in our folder. I can show it to y'all. There it is right here. So what we're gonna do now is go add it in here. But one thing we're not gonna be able to do is the color. So Brady, tell me why, and Mallory knows this, why do we not wanna make this blue? The same blue. Exactly. And so that's one always thing that I always like struggle with, because now you can't even see the box, right? So what color would be cool here, Brady? That kind of contrasts well with our logo. Brady? What's a color that contrasts well with the Depot logo? There you go. Perfect. That's exactly what I would have said. And so now you can go white. What I'm going to do is actually make it a smidge bigger, just so you can actually see the Depot logo. And so we're going to size it down, make sure it looks good. It doesn't have to be like, this isn't the focal point of the presentation, right? We don't need it to be like massive or anything. But so that's what that would look like. You can also do something cool here. You want to do like a gradient, a little gradient. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but you can go white to like a darker gray or maybe a blue, right? And so you can kind of change it. One thing cool here, these presets, see how it like goes from the top to the bottom? You can actually change this direction. So you can change it. Here, I'll make it a little bit darker so y'all can see the contrast a little better. So y'all can see as I move this, you can actually change where that gradient's coming from. Okay? So I'm gonna change that back to just white like Brady wanted. So we're gonna do that real quick. Okay, now what we're gonna do is add our title. Okay, this is gonna be really important. So we're gonna add a text box where you are, right here. And so we're just gonna add a text box, kind of get it in the right spot. Okay, and this one you really wanna make sure it's visible. So whenever we're doing this for our, presentation, you gotta remember there's a lot of old people. So you gotta make sure it's visible. And so something like pretty matte, that's a little too big. That's a little egregious. Okay, maybe like 48 probably, somewhere in that range, let's see. So Brady, what's gonna be the selling point for this, for us, for the Depot? I'm gonna move this. Yeah, for our event with Michael B. Jordan. Then say it. Come on, put it up there. Give me something. What's Michael B. Jordan going to be doing at the Depot? We have something coming. Okay, there you go. All right, so this looks pretty bad so far. What we're going to do is find a color that works well. White's pretty nice because it contrasts really well. But now we gotta this is where y'all have to figure out where it kind of looks good for y'all's perspective. So I'm gonna move this over a little bit because I think we need a little more space here, obviously. And so what we're gonna do is actually make this a little bit smaller so that we can actually fit most of this in the same line. So I don't mind having it right here. So we have 2 lines. We make it a little bit bigger probably. There we go, right? And what you can do is you can make it bold so it makes it maybe pop a little bit more. But now when we bold it, we might need to give it a little more room. So now we got that. Does that make sense? How to make a title. So, or we could just say autograph session or, whatever you want here. And see, we're not doing too much here. Now, this is gonna be, I think, probably the most important point for y'all guys for this PowerPoint in terms of content. I always say this, whenever you do any type of presentation, there's 4 different levels that you have. You have the least amount of information, which should be on your PowerPoint, okay? Then you might have a handout that you give your audience, which I would personally suggest because whenever you're in the audience and you get bored or you're trying to disengage a little bit, it's nice to have something in front of you to re-engage and you're showing them something and they can come back to it and be like, oh, okay, this is kind of where we're going to. And then they can kind of look back up. You give them some options and people like feeling stuff. You always want to go to the senses. So whenever we do our PowerPoint presentations for the final board, you always want to get every sense. So we have their feel with some type of PowerPoint. We have their senses. We actually do diffusers at each entrance so that they feel good, they smell good, they look good, right? And then we have y'all, they're hearing y'all, they have the audio, they have the visual of the PowerPoint y'all creating. So you're really trying to make sure you're hitting all the senses that you can to make it a fully engaging conversation whenever y'all have that. It's just small things to think about that just go a longer way. It's like things they probably don't notice at all, but it just makes them feel better. So that's what you want to kind of do here. So with that, there's, again, the 4 levels. It's going to be what's up here, what's down here, what's on your script up there, right? Because you're going to have more information, and then what's up in here. So I always have to give myself this like mental cue. It's like I know more typically about what I am presenting or what I'm giving than anybody else in the crowd. That's how like my mentality is about it, right? Because then like if you mess up, and obviously sometimes you have to go back and correct yourself, but if you mess up or you maybe say something a little bit off base, it's not gonna be the end of the world, because every time you think, oh, they know everything about this and they're gonna kill me, like they're gonna roast me about this. And it feels like it's the end of the world, but and obviously if you say something like completely off, you can go back and correct that, but they're not gonna come at you. And so you have that information base whenever you are presenting. And so that's just really important to know. And so you don't wanna give away too much of what you're gonna say here. So something I would say is like, for example, when was this? We're gonna say, yeah, what were we gonna say, Brady? I like to do, so there's this thing called the rule of thirds. People really like things in thirds. And so I always try to do 3 bullets. And so, Brady, give me something you got. Actually, let's talk to chat. Let's talk to chat real quick. Let's ask chat some, let's ask chat for some information here. I wanna show you all kind of how I use chat for this type of stuff. So we're gonna talk to chat and say, hey chat, we have a thing at the depot, an event with Michael B. Jordan, an autographing session. Brady, what date is it? April 19th at 5 p.m. He's a legendary boxer. He was in the Creed movies as a boxer, and now he's doing a lot more. He's an Oscar-nominated guy. And Brady, what do we want to talk about with him? Like how good the turnout was, or? Okay. Different events that they had. Okay, good. Perfect. Okay, so now I'm gonna get that in here. Let's see, hopefully it actually understood that. Yeah, actually understood that. Hey chat, now what I want you to do with this information is make 3 PowerPoint worthy bullet points that are no longer than 5 to 7 words each. That kind of explain this as effectively as possible. And so now we're gonna just let it do some work. And this is how I usually do it. Now you're giving it context, you're giving it the information that you would have, and now you can actually ask it to create. So why not do all this at once? Oh no, I sent it as just one. I just stopped I just stopped saying it. So now we have this. This first one we already covered, so obviously I don't know if we need to necessarily say that. We can say this though. This is pretty good. I don't know why they said multiple events, but that's okay. We'll just go with it at this point. And then whenever you copy it in, you can keep the format from, and then we're gonna change this to white. I don't like that I think it's bolded maybe. Is it bolded? It kind of looks bolded. Sure. Let's see. We're gonna change it back. Yeah, it's bolded. Cool. So now we're gonna change it back. I wanna have a little bit more of a kind of break between them. So we're gonna go here. I don't like the bullets. See how the bullets are not really bulleting right now? Let's do natural bullet here. There we go. That looks a lot better. All right, and then we're gonna do one more about over 100 visitors. Actually, there we go.
Yes, 1 million, over 1 million visitors.
Attended the events. And then what I always do, whenever you're doing PowerPoints like this, because I'm just kind of getting these, I never put periods. Periods make it seem like there's a definite end. I don't really love having that. So that's just a small thing that I don't like. So this is kind of what PowerPoint, I would probably make this text a little bit bigger. So it's a little bit easier to see. So let's go back. Huh? Yeah, let's make sure the ratio is right. And so we can go check back and do that real quick. So this is 28. Let's go back and do the ratio real quick. Thank you, Evan. So golden ratio, it's what it's called. I like this one, and this one works really easily. I have it saved. So 28, 17. So we're really close. We're at 18, so I mean, pretty negligible, but we can do it real quick. Perfect. Now, you should have, and that's like a scientific thing. That's like, have you ever seen like the human being, Leonardo da Vinci? I think that's the same. Maybe. Yeah. That's it. It's like a scientific thing. So yeah, this is how I would do that. Yeah. And so now we can see what our PowerPoint looks like from here. Param, look at you. So, good. So this is what we have as our PowerPoint. Feel free to get some food real quick before we start. Okay, so now what we want to do, now what I want to do is add this. So this PowerPoint, what I want to do, I'm going to add this picture into here. So all I'm going to do is actually just go in here, change picture. I already copied that picture, so I'm going to go from the clipboard. I don't know why it looks like that, but we can crop that and make sure it gets down here. So now we have that picture. Okay. And I don't really love that it's doing the white like that, so I'm going to change that again. So we're just going to make sure we fill in that little gap there. Okay. So now we have the same picture. The reason I'm doing that is because now what we can do is show y'all is morph transitions. This is what makes our PowerPoints usually look really cool whenever they transition out. It's called a morph transition. So what is basically happening is all the elements that you copy. So what I would suggest is whenever you create a PowerPoint, start with the first slide and just go through each slide as you go through and copy these elements. So I can copy this element here, right? And I can change the colors of this. And so I'm going to change it to this green. So I'm again going to go more colors. Actually, I'm going to do Colin, show me how to change it to that green behind it, that dark green, and then I want to change the glow to that light green. Yep. There you go. I want that exact green. I want that exact green. That's behind it. You see that one right there? Yep. No, you had it right. You're in the right. No, you're in the right spot. You're in the right spot. There you go. Remember, there's something that you click that helps you tap on something else. Yeah, phone Brady. Phone Brady real quick before he goes. Brady, we need your. How do you find that color? There you go. Never mind. He's got it.
You can drop it, and you can drag it anywhere on the PowerPoint.
Now you just. Perfect. Now add it. Perfect. Now I want to change the glow to that other green. Okay. Perfect. No, I want the other green. Yeah, I want that like lime green. It's gonna be kind of hard to get to it, but keep going. There you go. Right there. Perfect. Sweet, and now let's delete that one box underneath it now. Yep, and then let's just delete it. You can just press, I can press it. Just tap it real quick. I have the keyboard, so tap it. Tap it one more time. Okay. Now, what we want to do is resize it to be kind of the same size as that one before. So a little bit bigger. And then I want to make sure we have that picture still back there, so we need to make sure that's in the right rearrangement. Oh, did I delete that? Okay, we can re-add it. Then Colin, let's re-add it from the slide previously. The one before that. Yep, and let's add that. So you copy it, and then let's paste it over here. And now we need to make sure that, so we need to move our, we need to move that over again. Not that, the picture's fine. We need to move that box over to the left a little bit. There you go. And then let's make sure it's centered up and down. So you're just gonna move it up and down. And you'll see these little red dots, see that? That means it's centered in the middle. Okay? Great job, Colin. And now, what this is gonna allow us to do is we should see these two elements move around a little bit because of the morph transition. So what we're gonna do is add the morph transition to both of these and make sure it's on. And so now what you should see is once we go to this, you'll start seeing some of these different things moving. Yeah, and so that's how you get those to kind of interact with each other like that. Okay, so that's that part of it. That's pretty easy but fun to do now that y'all kind of know how to do that, right? Okay, some of the other elements, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. that y'all need to look at that I think would be helpful. Always make sure that you're mentioning whatever project we are, either by, sometimes I don't like doing a logo because it's a little bit difficult to add it, you know? So I'll just do the text up here, just kind of showing that it's Coffee Pros, just to make sure the people are aware. Like, I think sometimes people just come in the middle of a presentation, you gotta give them a little bit of context, make sure they're aware of what's going on. For example, like this one, I even did double that. We did double that for the PowerPoint to Brad, is we had Rubber Remedy up here, but we also had the little R logo down here, right? And this one's really cool because it's pretty simple. Like this took us probably 2 minutes to make, and we can recreate it real quick. It's really easy in terms of actually recreating this. I'm gonna do a new slide, show y'all how this works. So basically now what we're gonna do is copy these elements. So let's see, we need to find a gradient. So let's do Willie. Can you pass this over? Pass this over to Willie and then Russell after. We need a gradient. So we need to find, one thing you can do too, Willie, if you want to find that color before you get onto the slide. So let's go to the other color real quick. Let's go to the other slide right before it with River Remedy first. Okay, let's find those colors first because it's gonna be hard to like pinpoint the colors from here. So let's go to insert, and let's insert a shape. Perfect. And let's just add a shape. It doesn't really matter too much at this point. I'll show you what we're doing in a second. Okay. And now what we're gonna do is change the color. So you can go right click it, or you can go, yeah, right click it and press format shape down there, kind of midway through. There you go. And now we're gonna be seeing our colors. And so this is, yeah, you can do a gradient fill. You can do a gradient fill if you want. So what we're doing right now is we're basically just grabbing the color, so it's a little bit easier. So now we're gonna get those two colors. We want that dark blue in the bottom right corner, from the bottom right corner over there. So we want that bottom, like the one near the, yeah, river, we want that blue. So let's, how do you get that blue? No, you got it right, you got it right. Yeah, you're already on it. Yeah, you're on it, yep. And then you just gotta change that color. Yep. There you go. Perfect. Let's get that beaker. And let's go grab that dark blue. There we go. Perfect. Yep. Tap that and press OK. So now we have that dark blue. And now let's go get the, on the other side where that red is, let's change that red over there on that gradient. You can just tap the button, tap the red, and now let's go change it. And let's go get that light, that basically white blue all the way to the top left. There you go. Perfect. That works. Grab that. Okay, cool. Now we have these colors. And now they should be on, so you don't necessarily have to do it. You can actually probably delete these. So you should be good. Now let's give it to Russell. Huh? Oh, I can do it. Sorry. I got it. Cool. All right, now give it to Russell. Russell, let's go to slide 7, the next slide. And let's change the background. The next slide. Let's change the background to those two colors now that we have it. So there you go. Perfect. And we want to make that gradient. We'll do a gradient fill, not a solid fill. Gradient fill. There you go. Perfect. And now, as you see, we already have that. And now one thing really cool you can do, Russell, you see those two, you see how you have two colors in there? Okay, so what you can do is drag, tap on the one on the right over there on that gradient stops. You see where it says gradient stops and you have that little arrow that's kind of pointing with the color underneath that, a little bit underneath that? Right there. Yeah, drag that to your left. Now what you can see is you can actually change the gradient wherever you want it. So you can get it as close there or as far. So you figure out where do you want it? Where do you want it, Russell? Pull it wherever you want it. Cool, cool, sweet. All right, now give it to Alfredo. Very good, Russell. Yeah. All right, Alfredo, what I want you to do, go back to the slide before. I want you to recreate this. The one, 2 back, 2 down. The other River Remedy slide. Yeah, yep. Okay, so what I want you to do is recreate that middle block. So all that is a rectangle with the little bit of an edge on the sides. You can't see them, but they're basically a little. So I want you to recreate that. I don't want you to copy and paste. I want you to recreate that. And it has a little bit of a fade as well. So, and it's the one with the not that one, go back. We want to do the rounded. We'll do rounded corners. Do the rounded corner. I don't think that's rounded corners, but it's supposed to be. Yeah, that's what I want you. So go to the one with rounded. There you go. Perfect. And then just drag it just like you did that one. Perfect. And now let's make it 2 colors. And let's try to center it if you can. You know how to center that? The bird just died? Jesus. Okay. Okay, the easiest way to center it, Alfredo, is just drag it and you should see, yep, right there. Y'all see those little dots that pop up right there? You can center it perfectly whenever those dots. That's just like an access point. Okay, now let's do a gradient fill. You can also, Alfredo, let me show you, go one more back. Move it around a little bit. Move the box around a little bit. Just go off the screen a little bit or a little bit more. Okay, perfect. Right there, perfect. Okay, do a range up top. The arrange button up there. While you're tapping, make sure you have that clicked. Yeah, and now press the arrange tab up there at the top right-ish. Now you can actually do align, and you can align that to your center, and then you can align it middle. If you do that one more time, you can actually align it middle as well. So it should hopefully do it right where you want it. So there you go. That's also a way to do that. Okay, cool. Do you like that gradient stop, or do you want to do a little bit more, a little bit less? I think you probably should change it just so it doesn't look exactly the same. And you can just move around. Were you here for that, Amber, showing them how to move the gradients a little bit? So Alfredo, show her a little bit what you can actually move the sliders around. Yep, exactly. And so it looks a little bit different here. Okay, perfect. Pass it to Amber. We're gonna add, Amber, I'm gonna need you to add 2 different boxes. So go back to the next slide and show her. And Amber, you see where it is. We have a couple more minutes. You can exit out of that, Amber, up top right, or top left. There you go, that's fine. All right, so go back to slide 6. What we're gonna do, Amber, I want you to create 2 different boxes. You see how there's boxes around those pictures? They're just 2 blue boxes with a white or whatever, that light blue color glow. So I want you to go to, no, I'm showing you how to make them. Jeez, man. God. Oh, lazy. Yeah, Alfredo's doing the same thing. Y'all are too efficient. I'm trying to teach y'all. All right, so do that real quick, Amber. And the thing is, you only need to create 1, then you can copy it. Because you do want them to be exactly the same size, so you don't want to recreate. Yep, perfect. Perfect. Now get a good size of that thing. Perfect. Now, I think they're a little bit too rounded. I think it need to be a little more squared off at the edges. How would we do that, Amrit? Just a little bit more squared. No. It's on the shape. Your answer is on the shape. I'll give you that. Nope. It's on the shape itself. So I want it to be less like, I want the roundness to not be as obvious. Like I want the roundness to be a little less round. No, getting closer though. Right here? No. That also, I mean, that makes it bigger, but yeah, not that yet. So basically what I want to do is the corners, I don't want them to be as like far in. I want them to be like this, like more of like a round. Does anybody else? Yeah, they know. Help them out. Come on, you got this, Everett. You got it? Of the square. Of the square. No, of the square. The square itself. There you go. Now move that. There you go. Now play with that. You can go back and forth. You see what it's doing? You see what I'm saying? Okay, that's why we want it right there. Perfect. That's where I want that. Perfect, Amarit. Now I want those to be the blue, Amarit. Yeah, Amarit, I want that to be the blue, the right color blue. So let's go find that right color blue for me. Yeah. Perfect. And you see that it's already in your recent colors. As you can see, those are, if you go to recent colors, it'll be the most recent ones. That's your white, so let's do the blue first for this. And we're gonna make yep, perfect. And then we're gonna go to, let's do glow. Give me a glow that's white. That's a little too much. You're good. Yeah, let's go back to the presets. I usually just let it do like what it does from the initial. That's a little bit too much. You can go to presets up there, Amber. You see presets next to it? Yeah, tap that. And you can just do a light glow. I usually do one of those lighter ones like that, right? And then you can just go tap the color and change the color and you should be good. Go to the color down there that we've been using. The other white, I think it's a little bit different. Yep, and then go down to the recent colors and that whatever color that we've been using that's a little bit different. Okay, now we need to do that again. This is where you copy and paste. Now, when you copy and paste it, you gotta be careful that we need to make sure it's centered and it looks good. Okay, so now we need to make sure these are all centered together. There you go. See how it does this little thing where it kind of shows you where the center point is? That's how you know they're equal distant from the center. So that's what we want. Perfect. Perfect. All right. Trying to think, let me make sure I have anything else I want to cover for y'all. Param, do you want to fill out the rest? Do you feel comfortable? Okay, that's fine. Willie, let's add those 2 pictures. We're just gonna copy and paste those 2 pictures. So let's get Willie to copy and paste those 2 pictures. And make sure y'all get as much pizza as we're going out. I'm just gonna make sure there's nothing else that I want kind of covered. Oh, real quickly, before we kind of conclude a little bit, I know a couple people you'll have to leave for class, and that's perfectly fine, and we're about to end it anyway. Just a couple of notes. Whenever you're up here, we're gonna have the 2 microphones. I think is what the setup's gonna be. Make sure that you're, again, aware of where you're gonna use the microphones. And then also, one thing I noticed, and this could be really important, is whenever you're up here, make sure you're giving your full attention. So make sure that you're, nothing really in front of you. You need to make sure you're giving your full attention to whoever is gonna be up here speaking, as if that you're the person speaking, right? You wanna give them your full attention. Try not to like fidget too much or do too much distracting stuff. Give them your awareness as well. At the speaker. Yeah, don't look at the PowerPoint because it kind of feels weird because most of the audience doesn't really know that's back there. And so it kind of just looks like you're just staring off into space. Even though I know that you're not, it's just like it looks like it from the audience perspective. So, very nice, Mr. Evan. Cool. All right. So now we got our PowerPoint. Does that look good? Any other questions as we go through? Great job, y'all. I mean, look at that team effort here. Good. That's what I want.
I'm about to use this in the whole college.
Good. No, that's what y'all need. This is that we need to. So, yes. Thank y'all so much. Thank y'all for coming.